Welcome to another episode of Full Circle with me, Onyx. And the channeling videos I made, like the last three videos, were kind of a build up to this video. Um, if you're familiar with my teaching style, I kind of have to lay a foundation. Uh, and sometimes that foundation has to come from different angles for you to then understand what I'm trying to present to you. So you'll be able to digest it. So this is in response to a comment left on one of my videos asking me to explain more of the Egyptian mysteries. And the reality of the mysteries, a true mystery school is silent. And a true mystery school, you know, it's invitation only. You have to be invited in. So, at least in this dimension. But in the next dimension, it's also true. In invitation only. And so you have to learn how to get an invitation to, like the Harry Potter school. Uh, you know, you have to show up on the magical radar system of potential. You have to have a magical current. You have to have, and also you have to have an ability to get to class. So, just like the fiction parallels the reality of it as well. So, usually, if you've played with dreaming, lucid dreaming, astral projection, if you've played with ritual magic, um, law of attraction, but mostly more towards ritual magic. If you've played with energy work, or channeling or hypnosis, if you feel a pull into these directions, or if you're really into gods and goddesses and worshiping a god or a goddess, like a priest craft or a priestess class crafting, then you're putting out signals. You have a beacon. Basically, your aura acts like a beacon, and you are sending out the signal to inner planes, inner schools. One student asked, "Do these really exist?" I can only tell you from my experience. The answer is yes. In a lucid dream, I was taken to an ancient temple in China. And in that temple, we were given, uh, in the astral plane, we were given uh, a magical potion, and we had a drink from a magical fountain. Uh, and that was part of the initiation rites, which opened up your meridians to learn the art of Tai Chi, Qigong, and inner alchemy for immortality. That was on an inner dimension. And that was one of my favorite inner mystery schools that I went to. So when you think school, you need to also think homework, learning, education, development. And so I've hinted at the Book of Shadows is in the shadow realm. You have to be able to cross from the physical dimension into another dimension. So I was meditating and I was like, all right, let's play with angels. Let's practice some channeling. I've let that drop. I got into lucid dreaming for a while. And then I was like, let's swing back around to channeling. And, contacting your higher self. You got to practice what you preach. part of being authentic, So I was doing that, and I like to always push myself in new directions and stuff. And I'm like meditating, quieting the mind, everything goes black, and I'm in my personal space, like my personal bubble. And I'm like, okay, let's expand that bubble, you know? And I'm there, I'm expanding my bubble. And I like lose sense of my body. I love to let my body dissolve into the void, let everything kind of dissolve into the void. I'm just an awareness, just consciousness. And and I and intuitively, it's like a fish swimming in water. I know I'm connecting to another universe, universe B. So we're in universe A, and I need to go to universe B, or an alternate universe, to contact angels where angels exist in their own universe. And so you have to, I broke out of the earth plane. I broke out of our solar system. I'm just in our universe, but in the void of our universe. And a door, from the edge, and whether it's my personal way I am in my universe, how I experience it, I'm at that edge. I'm at the boundary. We could call that the magic circle. I'm at the borderline. I'm at the gate. And at the gate, these giant platinum doors appear. And, they're shining. They're not light, but they're shining giant platinum doors, and they're truncated, kind of like Egyptian looking doors. And I'm like, I know what this is. This is the threshold, you know, and this is, you know, the way in to the mysteries. And the mysteries would be Universe B, or whatever sphere you're trying to get to when you're doing Tree of Life path working. And obviously, the intent was to contact my personal angel, who is like on galactic level. And I did that. I channeled in some stuff. It was great. And with that meditation, kind of like symbolically from, so I have this little box and it has the symbol of the mystery school on it, or the alchemical chamber. And so the circle represents your universe, or your personal space, your consciousness, to where you can push it, and the triangle actually was the doors to the mystery school. So it was a twofold thing. It was, and the square is actually the hallway moving. It's the bridge from universe A to universe B. So the square could also be the doors, however you wish to see it. And the circle within is actually universe B, where it's touching, or where it's touching. So seen from a different lens or perspective, here's like universe A, your reality. Here's universe B, the reality you're trying to get to, or the other universe, the other sphere. And so you need to get across this bridge, and so where these intersect, there's the door. And so the door was kind of like that Egyptian truncated hallway doors. And so I'm over here going into void consciousness, the doors appear to get, and so you may not be able to get through the door, or you may be able to get to the door. It doesn't matter. But you're at the threshold. You're at the door, the gateway. And so that's, in a weird way, I can lead you to the doorstep of the inner mysteries. You could go there in meditation. You could, a guided visualization, like a path working, would work really well. But that's really all I can do. And if those gates open for you and you are able to go through, or something come through, I leave that up to you. I leave that up to your preparedness. Because that's all I can do. If the higher beings, the powers that be, the gods, wish to work with you and you feel a strong pull towards that, great. You're working with powers. And so the caution is just like fire. You can light a candle and keep it contained. You can have a campfire, or you could start a forest fire or burn your house down. So I would say respect your own subconscious. Respect the symbols that you use that trigger and act like keys, and can literally kind of take a life of their own in your psyche. So if you feel like you have a strong sense of self, but you also feel like you're pretty balanced in the world, you maintain your job, you maintain your family, friends, and relationships, you're okay with coming back to this reality, and you feel you're doing pretty well, you're not living a life full of regret, then I would say go for it. And so I wanted to guide us all there, do a guided meditation, because I know I can get there. And if one of us is there, then we could all be there. And then I was like, I don't know the type of viewers. Some people think they're ready but aren't ready. So you'll have to decide that for yourself, if you want to take that next step. And so literally, this symbol could get you into the mysteries. It's kind of like a cheat code. Because you wouldn't be watching this, you wouldn't be curious about this, you really wouldn't take the time to go for it. And so just the fact that you were curious enough might indicate kind of like you're ready for it. So with all priestly morality out of the way, that type of worthiness and that type of rules and laws, no, it's just like, okay, you've been there, you've done that, you maybe have gained a little bit of excellence in meditation or learning to quiet the mind. If you haven't, concentrate on breath work. Breath work really is the foundation of more advanced meditation. So do it if you're ready to enter the mysteries. And I'm going to have to leave it at that. I kind of over talked it. And then let's talk about opening the third eye, or working with creative visualization. If you can read a book and in your mind's eye, in your own imagination, you're kind of seeing the scenery. The hero is going through the forest and it's very dark and dense. It's raining. When I said that, or if when you were reading something like that, you were like, oh yeah. And it was a gray sky and it was chilly. Like when you're adding in those extra details, you're using your third eye. You're using your creative imagination. So if we sat around and talked about it when I said that, someone was like, oh yeah, and those pine trees, they were like black spruce. And the other person is like, oh, I saw a lot of ground foliage. I saw there were a lot of ferns. And the other person was like, that's not what I saw. I saw a river and a creek, and there was a lot of moss on the ground, and you know, and even though it was a forest, there was a lot of light showing through. It was a light drizzle. Like, we all kind of went to different spaces in our mind. We all saw it and felt it differently. Someone, I just said hero, I left it very general. Someone may have thought of a female on a horse, someone else thought of a man with armor and a sword, you know. And so that is very, very important. An understanding, yes, you are using your creative visualization. Yes, you're a multidimensional being. Yes, those are the same skills for path working, or we call it, guided meditation. And if you can do that, you can get there. You know, you can creatively imagine what it's like to be at the edge of your personal bubble and expand it. You can imagine being away from the earth. I personally found I've had really awesome experiences when I choose to get out of the earth's atmosphere, kind of out of our solar system, and from there be in my bubble and start my meditation there. It really frees me from the density and limitations of a lot of things, especially if I want to have like an out of this world experience, like contact aliens or meet an angel or hang out with something really intense. It's like helping yourself out. Uh, anyway, so you can work on developing your visualization skills. So way back when, I would sit in a chair, and I would just simply start off with like a triangle or a square or a circle, just very basic. And then I'd imagine them kind of like neon lights in the dark. And then I made them 3 dimensional. And then I would spin them. And so then I learned to spin the Merkaba and all these different geometry shapes. And that actually teaches you how to, that's actually, it teaches you everything. It teaches you the fundamental skills and abilities to work advanced magic. I would call it real magic, you know, uh, to manipulate energy, to reality warp, to gain this power of visualization, seeing, and using vision to navigate, to move through dimensions, to move through spaces, to command the force. So for me, commanding the force has always been a visual thing. Other people are more kinesthetic. And so commanding the force had to do with like mudras and physical movements like Tai Chi or spelling it out. So the art of magic is a multi-dimensional language from uh, the impulse, the desire, the vision, the sound, and then all the way down to the physical manipulation of your body or your tool. So what's really interested is the web of weird or the web of magic, wizardry, weirding, wizard, weirder, wizard. House is very interesting. You're always connected to it. Subject and object are connected. And so you are the cause, and then in a weird way, you are the effect. You're on both ends. You become the subject, you become the object, you become the thread in between. And so when because I was more kinesthetic, I had to literally open up my eyes and learn to see. So you just start off like in elementary, basic letters and shapes, basic colors. So I did that, and then I was able to do long distance astral healing on people, multidimensional healing on people, very, very successfully through a dedicated practice of working with geometry. And that was like my own creation of a modality that led to profound healing of my friend who had cancer. I did some sacred geometry manipulations on, and was able, and then I actually had like ascended masters come and talk to me and assist in the work for her healing and clairaudiently communicate messages to her. She lived in St. George, I lived in Salt Lake, so we were in completely different cities. So I was like remotely doing this like high tech wizard healing on her through the power of creative visualization and kinesthetic manipulation. So to help me visualize, I would literally trace in the air the geometry, like the pyramid or the square, and I would like touch the edges. And when I wanted it to spin, I would literally start the spin, and I would move the energy with shapes. And I got that idea because when I was in third grade, excited to learn math, I opened up the textbook, and this I had holographic symbols pop up in the air in a black space, rotating and spinning really fast, kind of like a memory of how I used to work with numbers in maybe a different dimension or lifetime. I have no idea. And then I was disappointed because all of our stuff was stuck to the page, like in a book. And I got really frustrated. I was like, this is how you guys learn. You're not learning. I You don't learn through the third eye. You don't just like download and upload and work with technology via the mind. I'm like, this is so slow. I was so frustrated. But that's how I came up with that modality. But it was also how I relearned to work in the other dimension at will. So the defining thing for a wizard, it's willpower. It's I will to do this. It's a willing. It's formula and technique and practice to master it. Um, but there's but the power source is the will. Um, it's not the love, as like New Agers say. It's all about love. It's all about oneness. Wizards are different. It's like no, it's I will this into existence. This is according to my will. And so Aleister Crowley, love is the law, but the will is over the law of love. And that is what magic is all about. so, uh, so we already talked kind of about guided meditations. There's lots of guided meditations, like how to find your power animal, how to, talk to your guide. Usually you're like here, then you imagine yourself like in a safe, cool, like otherworldly climate, like, a jungle or a forest. Then you might go through a cave, and then on the other side is supposed to be like your guide or your power animal. Same thing. Um, by doing things like that, path working, there's lots of books on path working, guided visualizations and meditations that helps you actually learn to shamanic travel. That's really kind of what it is. And it helps you piece it together from frame by frame, from image by image to like a movie. And when you get good at that, then you can travel. Then you can astral travel. Uh, so dreams, if you can dream, your third eye is working. And if you learn to lucid dream, your third eye is working even better. You're conscious. So waking up, becoming very conscious of your dreaming. Dream journal makes you rapidly become very conscious of your dreams, helps you remember your dreams really fast. And that is pretty much the gateway. So, reading books and seeing it in your mind's eye, dreaming, playing with creative images. What is a ritual? You're drawing symbols, you're casting circles, you're playing, you're working multidimensionally. So, magic is a language of multi dimensions. That's what it is, that's what rituals are. Uh, and so, you're developing that, you're learning to focus. A lot of people are unfocused because the images and the content come to you in a very receptive way. When you're doing magic, you're being proactive. You're the cause instead of having it affect you, instead of just clicking on it and you being passive, you're being proactive. You're being very active. So you're developing your will. It's thy will be done. Thy, my higher self's will be done. This is what I intend to experience. This is where I intend to go. So you're learning how to get into the driver's seat of your astral body. So I'm really spelling it out very crystal clear on how to get to the mystery school. And what is the mystery? It's all the unknown. Universe B. Oh. Yes. It's actually not hard to open up your third eye. And one of my favorite ways to do it is literally imagine in the center of my head like a quarter, something the size of a quarter. And what I like to do is actually walk. So I imagine like my skull is now the size of a room. I've expanded it, I've blown it out. So this quarter now is like the size of a door. And what I like to do is walk behind it and sit there and just look. Uh, but you can play with the size. So just imagine there's like this giant disc and you expand it really large and then you contract it and you expand it and you contract it. That will open up your third eye pretty fast. Like, because it will be a portal. And so that would be an inner gateway. So visualization is pretty much the key to create the door to get through. And those inner experiences become the teachings. It becomes kind of like the direct knowledge that you get through those experiences. You may or may not choose to share that with others. All those adventures. I've been adventuring for over 20 years. And I would say go on a lot of fun, playful adventures. And then let the serious stuff come to you. Salt and pepper it into your journey of life. I feel like the adventure should be fun. Like I there's a lot of people who feel like they need a lot of purpose behind what they do in order to play. And I think play could be the purpose. And I'm going to leave it at that. And one reason why I say, so I was in another dimension and I was in this cave. And this was like a long time ago. And this person was in the cave. And this like part of the cave opened up, like this little compartment. And out of this compartment, he pulls out this like giant red book. And he was like, so you thought the emerald tablets was a big deal? Wait until I deliver the ruby tablets. to humanity. And I was like, what? Like drop the mic. And that was really cool. And so I know you gain this magical knowledge not by sitting in a classroom with another person, uh, but by being able to either go get it yourself or as a group, uh, be able to open those doorways of inner vision to have access to that. And what I mean by that is I have a coworker who's very magical, and above his head, I saw a giant green and gray, dusty grimoire just floating in his crown chakra. And I knew he had all the magical knowledge at his fingertips, inside himself. The crown chakra is where we receive all this like knowledge, or where the knowledge resides, and then it drops into our third eye, it drops into our chakras, and then our body brings it to our 3D awareness, and we go, oh, what a brilliant idea. And so I could clairvoyantly see the book, which is the symbol of knowledge. So I was looking at this information because he's a natural born witch. He's trans, he's amazing. And I was, and so through my own mind's eye, I saw it as a book of mysterious knowledge on witchcraft. So I saw a grimoire floating above his head. And when I pointed it out, and he realized so the mystic language is through symbols of, you're interacting with the unknown, like the unknowable, the formlessness of pure energy, pure information. And through your own symbols, your mind, like you interact with it through images. That's what the mind does. It thinks in images, actually. So I saw in that to communicate it back to him. When he got it, I saw the book drop into his third eye, and I saw an aha. Then he had access. So really, and so that's just some cool shit. That's all I'm saying. It's like, so the symbols are what you see. If you sit with it, it's like encrypted. It will open up. It's like embedded information. So the book had all that embedded knowledge in the form of a symbol. The door might be embedded knowledge. The symbols that you see, the words that you hear, the colors. So I used to, well, this video is going to cut out. So that was really good.